Okay, here are the relevant excerpts from Charles Murray. I assign the timidity of capitalists to admit it to two things, two causes. First, large numbers of today's successful capitalists are people of the political left who may think their own work is legitimate, but they feel no allegiance to capitalism as a system or kinship with capitalists on the other side of the political fence. Furthermore, these capitalists of the left are concentrated where it counts most. The most visible entrepreneurs of the high-tech industry are predominantly liberal. So are most of the people who run the entertainment and news industries. And even leaders of the financial industry increasingly share the politics of George Soros. They're all capitalists, but they won't admit it. And they don't want anybody to think that they are. Their own work is legitimate, but nobody else's is. Now, whether measured by fundraising data or by members of Congress elected from the zip codes where they live, the elite centers with the most clout in the culture are filled with people who are embarrassed to identify themselves as capitalists, and it shows in the cultural effect of their work. Another factor in the segregation of is the segregation of capitalism from virtue. Historically, the merits of free enterprise and the obligations of success were intertwined in the National Catechism. McGuffey's Readers, the books on which generations of American kids were raised, have plenty of stories treating initiative, hard work, and entrepreneurialism as virtues, but just as many stories praising the virtues of self-restraint, personal integrity, and concern for those who depend on you, the freedom to act and a stern moral obligation to act in certain ways were seen as two sides of the same American coin. Little of that has survived. There's not a whole lot of virtue associated with capitalism now. It's sort of been segregated. And again, he'd cite the Hollywood left as examples, and maybe some tech people. To accept the concept of virtue requires that you believe some ways of behaving are right and others are wrong. And that means judgmental. And being openly judgmental is no longer acceptable in America's schools or in many American homes. You don't have the right to tell somebody else what's right and wrong. There is no universal truth anymore when it comes to morality or right and wrong. Anybody who seeks to be judgmental in this way is going to be cast aside, castigated. And as people who are not desirous or able to politically analyze these kind of things, are forever going to be in the dark when it comes to fully understanding them. Capitalism has almost been criminalized now by our popular culture, by the establishment culture. Capitalism, it propels the Democrat Party, and yet it's been criminalized when it's committed by others. The bad guys in movies and TV shows, even soap operas, are now capitalists. The mobsters, the terrorists, they've all got special interest groups who'll protest if they're portrayed as bad guys now. And they will not allow that to happen. And there's even a romance that's been attached to the criminal who gets away with it. And that's been popular for a while. Particularly if the criminal who gets away with it is sticking it to traditional capitalist structures. So we've done a 180 on this, where the foundational building blocks that created the wealth of the world is now perceived as criminal. And the real greed and the real thuggery, which is now found in government, is what's celebrated as idyllic and sweet and soft, caring and compassionate and so forth. It's very sad